Thank you, Sheriff. It's an honor to be with all of you on this somber and important occasion. It's been such a difficult year and a half for the law enforcement communities, not just here in Florida, and for some of the families we have here, but throughout the nation. In fact, one of the hardest we've ever had in our nation's history. Sheriff McCallum mentioned that I serve as Speaker of the House of Representatives, and that's what I do. But it's not who I am. Who I am is a cop's kid. I'm the son of a law enforcement officer. I'm a former prosecutor. Those things represent who I am, how I see the world, how I view the world. I remember being a little boy and my dad would make me get all dressed up on a random weekday, and we'd find ourselves at a funeral of a police officer somewhere in the state of Florida. And I would look around, much like I look around today, and I would see uniforms from different agencies, from different cities, different counties, different states. And I didn't understand at first why they were all there. And I asked my dad, well, did you know this person, this law enforcement officer who's not with us anymore? And I remember one day he said to me, I knew him. We just never met. And as I look around today, I'm reminded of that lesson, that the law enforcement community isn't a collection of badges from particular agencies or different uniforms that may be different colors, but it is a family. It is a family that rarely gets to celebrate their victories together, but often gets to come together to celebrate their losses. And when that happens, they never miss an opportunity. I thought my dad took me there when I was a little kid because he felt like he was kindred spirits with every law enforcement officer, even if they didn't know them. What took me a little bit longer to realize as I got older is that it wasn't just about being a kindred spirit or even part of a family, but that there was a larger lesson there that he was trying to teach me. A lesson about honor, sacrifice, and devotion. I'm reminded of that. I thought about it this morning, and then I saw that it was etched on this memorial, that in John in the Bible says, there's no greater act of love than someone who is willing to lay down their life for their friends. And it doesn't seem very abstract today as we add names to this memorial behind us. One in particular is particularly close to me and to my community in the addition of Deputy Michael Magley to the wall. I grew up in North Pinellas County, and this past year, Deputy Magley gave his life to protect our community on East Lake Road in Pinellas County. And most of you who aren't from Pinellas County, the name of the road won't mean much to you. But for me, it's the road that my wife drives to work on, the one she drives my kids to school on. Deputy Magley gave his life for his community in broad daylight, while many of those families and their loved ones were traveling on their road, and for that, they were saved. For that act, and there is no greater act of love than someone who is willing to lay down their life for their friends and for their neighbors. So I thought about when I was coming here today, but what about this memorial that stands behind us? Why do we do this? Why do we mark names on a wall? Is it because we can have days like today where we remember those who've sacrificed, we remember their honor, we remember their devotion? It gives us a place to come and remember and to mourn. And all of those things are true. But I think it is so much more than that. It is a measuring stick by which we would determine who we are and what we are capable of as a people and as a society. Every great society has marked the graves or marked the memorials of their heroes for that purpose, not just to remember, but to realize who we are and what we are capable of as a people. I once read this story that there was a young farmer walking down a dirt road, and he came across an older farmer, old man. And the old farmer was working planting a tree, and he said, well, what kind of tree are you planting? He tells him the kind of fruit tree. And he says, well, it takes 70 years for that tree to bear fruit. And the old farmer said, I know. And he said, well, I hate to be the one to break it to you, but you're not going to see that tree bear fruit. You're an old man. And he said, yeah, but once I was a little boy, and I used to run around in these orchards and walk around in these fields, and there were these trees. And I would sit in their shade, and I would eat from their fruit. And I remember how happy that it made me. So I won't be here to see this tree bear fruit, but somebody will. Some little boy or some little girl will sit in its shade and take from its fruit. And my legacy is that I planted this tree. The legacy of the men and women on the wall behind us, and the legacy of every single uniformed officer that stands on every side of us today, is also their legacy. They have set the standard by which we teach our children about honor, sacrifice, devotion, and love for our neighbors. Every generation to succeed must have individuals who are willing to stand up, who are willing to do the unthinkable and do the impossible to defend someone else that they never met because they swore an oath to do so. That is their legacy. That is the fruit that continues to bear for generations to come. So we come to places like this morning to mourn with the loved ones of the officers who are going to be added, to remember them, to remember the sacrifices of the people who are here, but also to remember that they are the standard by which we measure our humanity and what we are willing to do for each other. Sheriff McCallum mentioned I have two little boys, 5 and 6. And often I read to them, and I read them this book called The Once and Future Knight, Once and Future King, about King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, and they loved it. They loved it. We got excited about all the talk about sacrifice and duty and a higher calling. And then they asked me, Daddy, do knights still exist? And I told them they do. I told them that there are men and women throughout this country who every day wake up and they put on a shield and they swore an oath to defend the helpless. Those are the individuals, the knights, in our community who are we going to put on these walls today. And to every member of the law enforcement community, that is you. That is your legacy. May God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.